everybody who bought this project bought it on a 40-60 payment plan, which means they only invested 40% plus fees, so 44% of the property price.
Yeah.
Which is what brings us onto the ROI calculator when we were crunching numbers.
Yeah.
And showing that actually these numbers in green almost double at times.
Yeah.
When you look at the return on the capital.
On the actual cash.
The cash that people have put in.
And that's the greatest thing about payment plans, which again is very unique to this kind of market and not done everywhere. But that an investor can secure something without putting all the money down, benefit from the capital appreciation on the entire property, and essentially like leveraging their money a lot more. Beautiful. Okay, today we are going to talk about, personally, I think one of the most exciting projects that's going on in Dubai right now. It's one, your head will fall in love with the numbers, but your heart's going to fall in love with the project. And I'll warn you now, you're not going to want to sell it. You will want to move in yourself.
Yeah.
So we have the lovely Sophie joining us from Select to literally go through this project in a lot more detail. She is the expert in the space. But Sophie, if you could just briefly summarize a little bit about yourself, Select, everything that's going on.
Yeah, of course I can. Well, thanks for having me on. Finally, we got it in the diary. But yeah, so just a bit of background on me, obviously, just to start. So obviously we've known each other a while, but Select has been a part of my life for probably the best part of 6 years. So I've been with them, and before I was an agent, so I feel like I've done a bit of both. Select, for anyone who doesn't know who they are, is one of the leading private developers in Dubai. Originally from the UK. So we've got projects throughout the UK, particularly in London, all the way across. And then we've been focused in Dubai since 2002. So we've got a lot of projects in the marina. So for anyone who knows Dubai Marina, Marina Gate, Number 9, Studio 1, and so on. And then we've branched out across Business Bay, Palm, Dubai Maritime City, etc. So yeah.
Love it. I know, and that's where I first found Select. I worked in the UK for like 4 years before I ever moved over. So knew your history and credibility in the UK market. And then when I moved over, and I was actually like, wow, they're doing a lot of things over here as well.
Yeah, almost bigger.
And I always say, like, as an investor buying off plan, you're buying into the developer's vision. Like, you're buying into their team, their capabilities of making it happen. Can you just touch on a little bit about their track record, their quality, what they're really, really known for in the market?
Of course, yeah. So I think it's hard for me to say it because I feel a bit biased. But even before I worked for Select, I think it's so key. Like, even as an agent, I lived and breathed and sold Select. So like, I feel like even before I worked for them, I trusted in what they were delivering for my clients. And now I work for them. And I think I would struggle to work for another developer now just because I know what Select are doing and how we deliver our projects. I mean, pretty much handing over on time every single time.
And that's amazing because time is money.
Time is money, exactly. And when you're an investor, you're putting your money in, you're locking it away for X amount of time. And then when it goes beyond that, that's when your expectations and things then get stalled because maybe the money is needed elsewhere, etc. So for me, that's like number one. And I think it comes down to like pure simplicity. Like, we deliver what we promise we're going to.
Yeah.
So simple. And I think particularly in the Middle East, like in Dubai, I think a lot of the time that is missed. And for us, we adopt sort of European, UK build standards and promises and quality within Dubai.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where we win over others. That's what I would say.
Yeah. And from what I've seen, like being over here and all the previous projects that you've delivered on, I have clients who are like, no, I have to live in that building because it's Select. And like, you go into the buildings, you understand why people love them because of the quality, the finishes. Like, you compare it to other things in the market that handed over at a similar time. It's lasted the test of time. People still, and because it is more desirable, that's why they're getting higher rents and higher capital appreciation.
Yeah, it's actually like funny that you mention it because like we've got buildings and people will say to me all the time, like the modern buildings in Marina, like Botanica and West Avenue. And I'm like, my God, those buildings are like 10, 11, 12 years old, some of them. And for people to still refer to them as modern in the Marina is for us like such a compliment, because it's hard in Dubai when you have something. They can age so quickly. And I feel like with ours, imagine in the UK, you bought a property and in 5 years' time or 2 years' time, 3 years' time, someone's like, oh, you need to start upgrading. You'd be like, sorry? What? I just bought a brand new house. I'm upgrade.
Yeah.
What am I upgrading?
Yeah.
So whereas here it's just so the norm. Like I bought my villa and it'd been lived in for 18 months and I start renovating, ripping it to shreds because it's falling apart. So yeah, for us, these are the things that we carry through all of our builds.
Yeah, no, these stand the test of time. They literally stand out head and shoulders across like what else is there at a similar time. And I mean, that's just testament to the developer, the quality, like how they do things. So it's always like such an important part of the whole asset in general. And something you guys have done a lot is the branded residence.
Yeah.
And I think for a UK investor, this was a new concept to me anyway. And I know it's just not done as much at home. Whereas over here, everywhere you look, different brands, different developers. Like, in terms of like branded residence, we go right back to the start. Like, why do you think they are important? Are they important? What does it add, especially from like an investor point of view?
Yeah, I think branded residences, especially here, can get a little bit like the lines get blurred a bit, because for us, like we've only ever partnered with hospitality brands. And there's a lot of developers and there's clients in the market for everything. But if it's a fashion brand or whether it's a car brand, whatever it is, any form of branded residences, for us and for our investors, we see the longevity and the capital growth on branded residences with hospitality brands.
Yeah.
Purely on the basis that when you see a fashion brand or you see a car brand, whatever it is, it very much dictates in the build how it looks, or what materials they're using or what color scheme they're using. It reflects that brand or the people who are buying it, whatever it is. But for us, having something that is hospitality branded dictates the way the building feels and how it's run and how you're greeted when you walk into the lobby and how it's managed. Every single one of our residences, whether it's Six Senses, whether it's Jumeirah, we've even got Bay Central and Intercontinental. For us to have those brands partnered with us, it's more so they choose us as the developer as opposed to we choose them as the brand.
Yeah.
It's that, they choose to work with us and we choose to have their name on our building, so that for our investors and people living in the building means that they will always have a certain bare minimum level that they can level of luxury or expectation of how they live, on how, like I say, how they're greeted when they come into the building, and all of if there's restaurants in the building, if there's amenities, how they're run, how they're kept across the years. So for us, we always see the appreciation in hospitality branded.
Yeah.
That's where,
I mean, I'm a numbers-based investor. So like when you hear brands, you think, oh, it's just going to add expense. But you actually look at the numbers and branded residents outperform normal residents. So from an investment point of view, it actually does pay. But having said that, I do think it has to be the right brand because people know branded residents perform well. I think a lot have come to the market where they're just kind of, and honestly, some have come up and I'm just like, oh, yikes, like that.
Not sure about that one.
Yeah, that doesn't quite feel right. And a branded residence should only add to a development rather than detract. Like, because at the end of the day, especially if you're on the investment front, if you're living in it, different kettle of fish, but like you want to make sure that you're still going to be able to exit, that you're still going to be able to rent it out all day, every day. So you want a brand that's going to attract people rather than.
And I think you've got to be ahead of the curve. Like as a developer, it's. I always find with Select that, and I spoke about this actually with a client the other day. I feel like we're always sort of like one step ahead. And by that, I mean, and I think we spoke about it before as well, it's that, wellness, that leads us on to Six Senses, which we'll come to in a minute. But wellness 2, 3, 4 years ago, it was around, but I had a discussion. I said 2 years ago, did you know a single person who used to go and do a sauna and an ice bath on the weekend? You just didn't.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's so big, especially in Dubai. I feel like the wellness movement is like out of control, but in the best way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people look for. It's not enough now in a branded residence to have a pool and a gym. People are like, I want a sauna, I want a steam room, where's the nearest paddle court? Where's the plus.
Yeah.
It's not enough just to have the bare minimum now. People are wanting all these things. And I think that's why now there's such a shine on Six Senses as a brand, because wellness is literally their core. They are the number one wellness hospitality brand. So I feel like we're just always that like kind of one step ahead, where people are like, oh, we get it now.
Yeah.
Whereas like a few years ago, people wouldn't really have blinked twice. Like, what's so amazing about that? Whereas now people are like, I want to live there. I show people the video of the amenities and they're like, damn, I want to live in that. I'd never leave. I would literally not have a social life because I would just never leave the spa. I'd just be like, you'll find me at home.
I'll be here. Yeah. Literally. Yeah. And we'll dive into that. But I think that's such an important point because as investors, as people in Dubai right now, we have so much choice when it comes to what we want to buy. So I think it's forcing developers to be more competitive and add more amenities. Yeah. And then you're in a place where as an investor, it's great because we've got all this choice. And but people are having to get a little bit more creative, a little bit more competitive. And you guys were actually leading that at the forefront without having to play catch up.
I feel like we've always offered it from the beginning, and then now we're just sort of adding to it. I mean, Six Senses in the marina, which we're going to touch on, of our GFA, 61,000 square foot of it is on the amenities for the residents.
Can you show us a little bit of it?
Yeah, no, of course. I will run through. We'll have it playing sort of in the background so you guys can see exactly what we're going to be talking through. But this will basically talk through, I can explain it, but this video just does a way better way better job than me in terms of the amenity space. So it's across 4 different floors. So level 4, 5, 6, and then our favorite part on 109th floor. So the whole concept behind Six Senses is that you're not only buying your one apartment within the building, you basically buy into the community and you buy into the entirety of the building. So having access to all of these amenities, being able to network, being able to be surrounded by like-minded people who are choosing to live in that building.
Yeah.
Sharing the space and having Six Senses is very much about energy and feng shui. And if I showed you the study that they do around feng shui, it is incredible. I didn't even know that much existed to it, to be honest. But that is the whole reasoning behind Six Senses and behind their spas, which is what they do best, I would say, is on the 5th floor where you've got a huge outside pool, big lap pool, an infinity pool, and then you've got a huge gym. There's 3 different types of sauna, ice baths, massage circuit pools, a salt room. It's literally
anything you can think of.
Yeah. It's literally endless. And these are full access for all of the residents, like 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the pool on this floor for anyone who doesn't like heights, because the other pool is on the 109th floor.
Which is wild.
Yeah, which is probably 400 plus meters in the air. So you wouldn't want to be scared of heights if you want to go up there. There's a proper longevity clinic, which is a medical facility where people can go for like IV drips, nutrition plans, juice cleanses, massage, facial, like literally you name it. Cryotherapy, hyperbaric oxygen chambers, crystal sound healing, reformer Pilates. Like when I say it's endless, it really
genuinely
is. Yeah.
Everything you could think of.
And then for anyone who wants to be up in the clouds, this is where, cue the really dramatic music. This is where you've got the 25-meter lap pool on up in the sky, jacuzzis, communal dining areas. So you can book the space.
Yeah.
Senses will arrange the catering, yoga deck, Pilates, like yeah, you name it.
Yeah, I mean, looks sensational.
Yeah.
And like, I look at a lot of projects, and quite honestly, like in terms of facilities, everything that you could ever, like genuinely in the market right now, nothing can compare to that.
No, it's very difficult for us to find comparables in terms of this for a building. It's a vertical tower, urban, in the city itself. To have that number of amenities within a vertical structure is actually really difficult.
Yeah.
Like structurally, architecturally, like, so it's much easier if you have a resort style sort of low rise, if you've got like beach and whatever else, which we've seen that we did on Six Senses on the Palm.
Mm-hmm.
This is the sister to it. So, and this is the only Six Senses that they've ever done, which is a purely branded residence.
Yeah.
So there's no hotel whatsoever. So it's purely, everything in there is just for residents. It's not something that they have to share between hotel guests. It is just very exclusive, much more private.
And a bit on Six Senses themselves, because I think if you've stayed in the hotel, you are all in. You know how good this is going to be.
I say to a lot of people, if people have stayed in a Six Senses before, then they get it.
Mm-hmm.
They really understand. And I think a lot of the pitch, by the numbers, obviously excluding that, is done. Yeah.
Yeah. And when people see, like, when I first saw this, I was like, sensational. Let me move in. But I was like, this is going to be expensive. It's not really, I can just see it being end users. That was my first initial impression of it. And then that's when I realized actually how exciting this project was, is when you talk numbers and actually think about the investment side, because that is what we're here to do. Although we love looking at the nice stuff.
All the lifestyle images and the fancy amenities.
Like financially, it has to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you mentioned about a bit of Six Senses as the brand. I'll just touch on them very briefly.
Yeah.
I know we mentioned that they're the number one hospitality wellness brand. They have very few hotels in the world. There was a lot of brand education that we had to do in the beginning, because it is niche. Not everybody has over $1,000 per night to be spending on a hotel, which is the absolute bare minimum, in any of their hotels off season that you would expect to pay. Even now, if you want to go and look at the Six Senses in Ibiza or Portugal or Rome, or even in Oman where it's 45 degrees, it's minimum like $1,500 per night.
Yeah.
So that's your benchmark. Very few in the world. I think total now 28, probably going to be moving towards 30 by the time we've got a couple more handing over. So again, out of those small number, even less of that can you actually buy a residence in.
Yeah.
So again, it is a much smaller, exclusive clientele essentially. Yeah. When it comes back to financials and numbers, which we obviously want to touch on, because I think that's where particularly you saw the value in it for a lot of your clients, and it's where we've seen some ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
Is a couple of years ago, we had Six Senses on the Palm, which Select was also the developer for. And we saw black and white figures and transactions, which are happening every single day, showing some of the percentages and showing the type of returns that people are making. And that's when, the investor focus on this project really took off. So yeah, we can touch on those.
Yeah, I think we need to, because that is where it really comes to life, because you can make an investment that is an actually beautiful product, but it's going to look after you financially as well.
So some of these, I mean, we'll put them on the screen so that people can see a little bit better. But this is to show some of the transactions that have happened from Six Senses on the Palm when we originally sold it. So directly from the developer to the buyers. And then when they have since then resold it onto another buyer.
Yeah.
Before completion. And that's important. This project doesn't hand over until October.
Yeah.
So these transactions are all happening between first launch and pre-completion of the project.
Today, yeah.
So essentially in green, what you'll see is the percentage increase that they have seen. Six Senses on the Palm, we originally started the sale at a minimum of 5,000 dirham per square foot. That was the absolute minimum. I think the lowest 2-bed price that we sold was around 9.4. Oh yeah, bottom right. That's our transaction. So around 9.4 million dirham for a 2-bed. And that was around 2,000 square foot.
Roughly speaking, for UK GBP, we're talking like 2 million British.
Okay, yeah, depending on the exchange rate at the time. Guys, now's your time to be buying dirhams. So yeah, it's definitely in and around the 5,000 dirham per square foot mark.
Yeah.
Then now it's reselling for, I would say, a minimum of 7,500 dirham per square foot.
Yeah.
Some of these transactions, you'll see a 70% uplift, 44%, 33%, 40% increase. And that is based on the entire purchase price, on the full 100% of that property price or sale price.
Yeah.
What it's not taking into consideration is that everybody who bought this project bought it on a 40-60 payment plan, which means they only invested 40% plus fees, so 44% of the property price.
Yeah.
Which is what brings us onto the ROI calculator when we were crunching numbers.
Yeah.
And showing that actually these numbers in green almost double at times.
Yeah.
When you look at the return on the capital.
On the actual cash.
The cash that people have put in.
And that's the greatest thing about payment plans, which again is very unique to this kind of market and not done everywhere, but that an investor can secure something without putting all the money down, benefit from the capital appreciation on the entire property, and essentially like leveraging their money a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I would say that's one of our most unique points about Six Senses Marina, particularly now. There is a lot of off-plan developments which are happening where potentially the payment plan is 80-20 or we've seen in the past 90-10, even 70-30.
Yeah.
I would say 60-40, 70-30 is probably the average now.
Yeah.
But ours are the complete opposite. Ours are on either a 30-70 or a 40-60.
Yeah.
Which means there is either a 70% or a 60% amount, which is due on the completion of the project.
Which can be financed.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even foreign investors, so anyone in the UK particularly, you can take a loan to value mortgage of up to 60% at times. So you are increasing a big pool of people who either you'd be selling to initially or who you'd be reselling to as an investor. You have a bigger pool of people because often, if I'm buying something 3 years off plan and I've got to fork out 80% of that property and on 20% on the completion, who's taking a mortgage on that 20%?
Yeah.
Probably nobody. And then often there's that toss up between, okay, well, if I'm putting down 80%, wouldn't I just buy something ready?
Yeah.
Where you can start.
With cash, yeah.
Where you can start, making a return on it. You start seeing liquid returns on it straight away. Whereas this does free up a lot of cash and it frees up a lot of equity to do other things whilst this is making you money while you sleep.
Yeah. And I think like that whole thing of like, because when you look at some of the prices, people are like, oh yikes, that's so much, like that's so out of budget.
I don't have 10 million dirhams,
like,
2.5 million quid.
Whoa. Like we only need to put 30% in and suddenly your budget can go so much further because you're only having to put 30% in as opposed to a lot of other projects where you're putting 80% down.
Yeah, exactly. So if we look at some of these numbers, I mean, I've thrown this obviously into a spreadsheet so that it really breaks it down in sort of like bite-sized chunks and really simplifies it. I mean, this right now is for a 4-bedroom apartment, which is the size of 3,300 square foot, which is not small.
It is huge.
Ridiculous for the size. I mean, it's luxury. I think what defines luxury is sizes and space.
Yeah.
In terms, what I mean by that is if you go to like a Michelin star restaurant, I always use this like analogy. If you go to a Michelin star restaurant, how close is the person sitting on the table next to you?
Yeah.
6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet away. You go to Wagamama's or Nando's and you're like
you're on the same bench.
You're sitting on the same bench. So that's sometimes what it rolls back to. But this is what we've got in our inventory. A mid-floor, talking 10.3 million dirhams. So in GBP, like 2 million, 2.5, which means that if somebody was to buy this today, they would be buying at just over 3,100 dirhams per square foot.
Yeah.
Now, depending on which payment plan they were to go for, either the 30/70 or the 40/60, the 30% plus the fees means that they're sort of all in 3.5 million dirham.
Yeah.
Which is what, 700?
Yeah, about 700k British.
Something like that. So let's work on those numbers for now. If you're buying at 3,100 dirham a square foot and you're looking at very comparable percentage uplifts as what we saw on the Palm.
Yeah.
Because the price per square foot at this point kind of becomes a bit irrelevant, because do I think that Marina will reach a similar price per square foot to the Palm? Probably not.
No,
I'd
they're
love
different.
to hope so, but
they're different areas.
I think to be realistic, it's probably not going to reach the same price per square foot, but the percentage uplift will be comparable.
Yeah.
And that's the key part.
And the great thing about this is that you've got a very similar project to compare it with. I think comparables can be difficult, especially on something like this where it is so niche.
Yeah.
You can't compare this to anything else in the Marina because it is just like a completely different product. But the fact that we've actually got the data now from...
Exactly, yeah. So obviously on here, I mean, I've put down I think the average resale price here is going to be between, and I've got it on camera now, so now everyone's going to, in 2 years or 3 years' time, when this hands over in 2028, so someone will probably send me this, and I hope they do and say, oh my God, you were so low. Yeah, you were so outside of it. But I've put down that it would be probably between 5,000 and 5,500 dirham a square foot potential resale. This is on a slightly lower floor, so taking that into consideration, a potential resale of around 4,500 a square foot means a resale price of around just under 15 million.
Yeah, about 3 million British.
Yeah, which would give a net profit of around £1 million.
Yeah.
Then when you look at the ROI based on putting in only 30%, you're looking at some pretty ridiculous numbers. You're looking at 130% return on your equity.
Yeah, you're more than doubling, like 2.5 times the equity that you put in. And honestly, I think that is conservative because, I mean, I'd always prefer to underpromise, overdeliver.
Honestly, and I'm the same. So even if we knock that 4,500, some people might say, well, that's punchy for whatever they might say, right? Even if you take into account, stick that 3.8, which is ridiculously achievable because if you compare the 3,800 with current inventory in the Marina, what you can actually buy for that price, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So even if they resold at 3.8, some of the percentages are a bit nuts still.
And if we look at the live data, like the comparables in the Marina, as I said, there's very little you can compare it to, but I'd say like the next closest thing, the address JBR, they're at 5,500. Something like that. Per square foot.
Yeah.
And that is, it is a different product. So honestly, it's the opportunity for the uplift, I think we're being very conservative, but that's how I roll.
Yeah, same as me, like we've got some of our projects. I mean, I will always give more conservatively on the figures just because I don't plan on going anywhere. When this hands over in 3 years' time,
we're going to help you resell this, and we need to be still here.
Everyone is, we have clients that, Jumeirah Living, Marina Gate it's something that I would say right now is one of the best buildings in the Marina.
Yeah,
it's ours, but it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be judged for saying it. I think people will agree. That is probably priced, I think the average now is just over 4,000 a square foot, which might be just below actually. And it's stunning. It yields some of the highest, but it doesn't compare to this at all.
Yeah, this will be another level
this
again.
Is on a different level. So for this to resell at the same price or less is just a no-brainer. Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just how I feel about it. So I think that's what it boils down to. When you see something super unique, especially in the Marina where, it is a hotspot for occupancy.
Yeah.
Like we spoke about this. Marina has one of the highest occupancy rates year round, which as an investor, if you're buying a property to put it on rent or whatever you want to do with it, the last thing that you want is that property sat vacant for any amount of time. But particularly a long period of time, because that's when you're just burning through cash.
Yeah.
It's not making you money anymore, and it's no longer a good investment. Whereas Marina holds such a high occupancy year round for a country which, let's face it, right now I would say we're probably the only people which are still here. Yeah, between May and September, it's not a nice place to be. The weather is hot, but even still, then young professionals, people who are here visiting on holiday, even still now. So that for us, having it in such an urban location for investors is again another reason.
Yeah, and with the Marina, I would challenge you on that it's an amazing place to live. The traffic is the one thing I hear all the time.
Yeah. Good question. I would say there are parts of the Marina which, traffic-wise, like if somebody said drive there at 6:00 at night, I'd be like, no way. I'm not going anywhere near there. Whereas I think this side of the Marina is slightly quieter in terms of traffic. That being said, a huge portion of the traffic, which is around Six Senses location, is going towards Dubai Harbour, towards beachfront. Not so much, like you mentioned, Address JBR, not so much that end, but particularly this end of the Marina, I would say there is a hefty amount of traffic. They are building the bridge from Sheikh Zayed Road straight to beachfront, which will eliminate a hell of a lot of traffic on this side of the Marina. Plus, public transport is going a bit nuts here over the next... It will be obviously a long process. I would say probably the next 5 to 10 years, to be honest, for it to be really, properly integrated into the way that we all live. But I always think of it like Marina is like living prime central London.
Yeah.
Imagine prime central London without the underground or trains. It would be carnage, which is essentially the direction, had they not put in all these plans for public transport, that is potentially the direction that Dubai was heading. Yeah. So I think these are going to be all big changes.
I also think, because I hear, whenever I'm talking about the Marina, everyone's like, traffic. Yeah. And I'm like, where there's traffic, there's people. And there's
True.
There's people there because people want to live there. People are working there. People are living there. I've got a lot of friends who live on the Marina, absolutely love it. You've got bars, restaurants.
Yeah.
And
the beach.
Yeah, because they live there, they work there, or they're working from their desktop. Or
they don't leave.
Yeah, they don't need to leave. So they're like, it's not a problem. I don't know what everyone's talking about. So it just like, yes, no one's going to disguise the fact that there's traffic at the Marina, but that's the same with any central location. And I don't think it hasn't affected the occupancy of the Marina in general. And as you said, they're putting a lot in place to improve that going forward. So I
think all of those things will, obviously, there's pros and cons to living in any area, right?
Yeah.
I spoke to somebody else about this the other day. I live in Arabian Ranches. You don't think I sit in traffic when I drive to my house? Like there is always going to be that. Dubai is a big city, but everything is so condensed into a 15-kilometer circle right now. Obviously it's growing out, but right now it is all still quite condensed, and the population is just ever growing. So, but it can only mean good things for real estate. So,
exactly. And I don't know whether you've got it to hand, but following this example all the way through, do we have like a floor plan of what this would actually look like? Yeah. So just for like context of what that looks like as well, because I think, again, we come back to like a lot of other developers because it's value, right? What you can get for your money elsewhere in Dubai helps you justify why this over something else. And I think the floor plans, again, is quite unique. We've touched on it before. Just the size of the apartments themselves is fantastic.
Yeah. So, Pete, I mean, I'll show the floor plan as well so everyone can see. But I think the smallest unit that we had in this building was a 2-bed. So we had 2 beds, 3, 4, and 5. What we've got left on the availability now is the 4 and the 5 bedrooms.
Yeah.
The 4 beds range from the smallest, 3,300 square foot. And then you've got a 4 bedroom half floor penthouse, which is 5,200 square foot to 5,700 square foot. And they're the half floor penthouses. And then on top of that, you've got the duplex sky mansions. And then on top of that, we've got one left, a 5-bed triplex sky mansion. But in terms of the availability that we've got now, you've got the 4-bed residences. And it actually does come down to, I would say, like for us, another thing is the quality that we're always delivering.
Yeah.
I know we touched on it a bit earlier. It's so hard with the word luxury in Dubai now. I feel like it's lost all like sentiment.
Thrown around.
My favorite one is affordable luxury. That is like, come on. Like the whole idea behind luxury is that it's not affordable.
Yeah.
So that for us is something that we do take into consideration. And yes, of course, the brand that will always push towards a luxury perspective. Yes, the sizing, definitely. Amenities for sure. But sometimes it really does boil down to, if you're building a villa, what makes it luxury? It's not the gym that you put in, it's like the material you used.
Yeah.
You haven't used porcelain, you haven't used ceramic tile, you've got a natural stone everywhere in this building. The only ceramic or porcelain that is used is in the swimming pools.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a natural treated stone. It's the Omani grey stone, which we locally source obviously from Oman. You've got real natural timber wood flooring. It's not engineered wood. It's not MDF. It's not laminate. It's a proper timber wood flooring, a real natural oak on the, cladding or on the boundaries between each room. You've got a 3-meter ceiling height, floor to ceiling glass, Miele or Gaggenau appliances. We're waiting for the official tender, but it'll be Miele as a minimum. All of these things, bricks and mortar, how much does it cost to actually build it? What material are you putting in that's going to give it longevity? These are all things that when people say the word luxury, is it?
And wooden floors are a luxury here. No one has wooden floors. It's tiles.
Imagine you walked into an apartment and it had carpet.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what is that? Whereas, so for us, we put timber wood flooring through all of the bedroom spaces because it's warmer and it's like, it's a bit of a nicer feel. So it is a bit of a luxury here to have that. So for us, I think these are all things that we put throughout all of our units. And what I think is really important here is that it doesn't matter whether you bought, the 2-bedroom on the lowest floor, whatever it is, or you're buying the 5-bed triplex sky mansion on the 117th floor. The finishing and the quality is the same, paralleled throughout the whole building. Yeah. Because Six Senses are determined for it to be like a parallel, service or experience for everyone who lives in the building. And I think that will always flow through all our Six Senses that we do. Yeah. To be honest, if any time we have anything, any partnership with them, we'll always keep it like that. Yeah. Dreamiest kitchen ever.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Like genuinely, like the project itself does sell itself. Like anyone can look at that brochure, look at the list of facilities, look at the brand itself, who's behind it, and be like, yeah, you can believe in the product. You've got the track record, the credibility, the history. And then like the real icing on the cake is the fact that the numbers actually stack. Yeah. And not only stack, but are like offering one of the greatest opportunities right now. Amongst like, we're in a place where there's a launch literally every 18 hours. So we see a lot of stuff. So it definitely ticks a lot of boxes. I know people like fall in love with it.
Yeah, I think it's, like you mentioned earlier, it's the same developer, it's the same brand, it's the same quality, the same sizes, the same number of amenities, technically, as Six Senses on the Palm. So to be able to compare it to something almost like for like, just different location, that is literally the only big, and it is a big difference. Yes, Palm and Marina, it is a big difference, even though it's 12 minutes drive away. But Palm will always hold a postcode sort of luxury anyway. Yeah. But to have that as a comparison with real black and white data, you don't have to believe, I mean, I'm sure your investors trust you, but, they don't have to.
No, yeah.
In a weird roundabout way, there is black and white data published on DLD every single day showing these transactions. Mm-hmm. It is literally there for your taking, and for us, having these numbers backing up exactly the figures that we said or we called out, a few years ago, just makes me believe in it even more.
Yeah.
And I believed in it from day one.
Yeah.
But this makes life much easier for everyone.
Yeah. No, it's one I'm very excited about. In terms of live inventory, I know it's always changing.
Yeah.
What's like the best thing to do?
Best thing, obviously just keep us posted. Any inquiries, just let us know. We can share sales offers and things like that. We actually have a viewfinder. So if, particularly on off plan, if it's a high-rise building, people typically want to know what the view is. We have a drone images that we can screen grab, we can send so everyone can see exactly what the view is.
Yeah.
And really, really enable you to make like informed decision. And then obviously we just take it from there, really. Jump on a Zoom call if they're not here.
Yeah.
No, not many people are.
I know. Sophie knows this project inside out, upside down, like an absolute expert at it. I would just say, if you do want any more information about this or Select in general in terms of your upcoming projects and everything else that you guys have in the pipeline, I will use links around this video for you to jump in. Because you can do so much online, but especially if people are in Dubai, I always say just go to the show apartment.
Go to the show centre. Yeah, we've got the big sales suite. It's a really relaxing space where people can actually come. We can sit down, have a normal conversation, have a coffee. You can walk around the show apartment, get a feel for it. The model is there. So you can really walk around. The model is like 5 or 6 meters tall. I've got neck ache every time I'm looking at it, but you can really walk around the whole model and understand, okay, that's the apartment that I'm looking at. That's the view. That's where that is. And, really get a feel for it. But I would say if people are in Dubai, to come to the sales center is a much, much better idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to bring it all to life. Because that can be one of the most difficult things buying off plan. You're like,
you need a good imagination. You need to be creative.
You do. But that is why investors win, because you're buying into the vision. Developers are giving you like a discounted rate for that privilege because they need you to buy it so they can do their job as well. So, and investors always want to come back.
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously you touched on our future launches as well.
Yeah. Do you want to just touch on anything?
I will. I probably shouldn't, but here we are. So our next launch will be hopefully Q4. So mid to end of Q4, I would say. Obviously, we'll keep you guys updated, and looking likely it will be in Design District.
Exciting.
Yeah. So waterfront, that's the kind of the Select Group way. That's kind of our trademark.
Yeah.
Hence the logo being a wave. So waterfront, further than that, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But obviously we'll keep you posted.
Or TBC. So definitely if you want to get in early to any of those projects as well, then that is the best way to do it. Because I know you guys have an amazing pipeline coming up, and it's a great way to kind of just grow with you as developers and see everything. And people know they're looked after because they've got the track record. And again, it's just buying into that brand and the vision.
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining.
You're so
I really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll catch up.